I'm going to make a quick video about my latest build on, I don't know what you call this scratcher. It's a little different than the other ones. I kind of like this one. I think it's going to go fast. But it's a red frame. It's got a weird base to it. Now let's go over the main thing. Okay, so we got your standard, I don't know what you call this. This hooks up to the transom bracket. So one thing I noticed in this, there is no hole here. In all my other scratchers, there's a hole drilled here for you to drip oil down for the pin to go in here. I had one, I tried to get the pin out, it was rusted. I don't think the prior owner had oiled it, so I'm going to try to drill a hole to put some drops of oil down here. And the weird thing about this one is the clamps on most of them is a band, and then there's a bolt and a nut that goes through, and you tighten the nut and the bolt and it clamps it down. This one is just a band, and then you have this clamp screw to go down. So this one can adjust how far up this transom bracket goes. And then usually on the other models there's a band down here on the bottom, but there is none on this one, so you cannot adjust it to keep it high. It's gonna, or to keep it from going up too high. This one adjusts how far it goes down. Another difference in this one is the rear sprocket is 60 teeth and the other ones are 72 teeth. So this one should spin a little bit faster. Another thing with this model, it's kind of weird because you got the angle that goes and then it stops, and then they have, I'll post some pictures, they have this other piece they welded all the way across, and I think this is a leftover from the older paddle wheel model, and then they went to this just regular wheel model. All the pillow bearings have a grease zerk and the other ones don't. Also, the other scratchers I think have 42 teeth, and this model has 46 teeth. I haven't measured, but this wheel is a thinner gauge than the other ones, and that kind of matches that old paddle wheel model with this really thin gauge. So it's a pretty light scratcher frame, because you save weight on the smaller sprocket, you save weight on this thinner gauge wheel. I don't know, this is another modification that I noticed on this one, but I haven't seen on the others. I don't know if it's because of the thinner gauge wheel, but they put 3 of these pieces of angle iron and it's sharpened down the end. They've got it sharpened both sides, and they've got it, you can see where they cut it down. Looks like it was a 1.5 by 1.5, and they cut this down so it would clear. But boy, watch out when you're carrying this, because these will chop your fingers off. So there's 3 of them, and I don't know what they're for. I think they put them on later. But it's either to add extra rigidity to this thinner gauge wheel, or what I think they did is, because sometimes these have a tendency to dig down into the ice and get stuck, by putting this piece on it, as it sinks down, it gets a wider piece and it'll grab onto the ice. So I don't think it's for rigidity only, because like I said, they sharpen these just like these, same degree or same idea, flat on the forward edge, and then it cuts this way. So I kind of like this. I kind of like that model. It's almost like a cross between the paddle wheel and the regular ones without the with nothing, just the wheel. So I'm going to see how this works. I haven't had this one out before ever. I put a continually variable clutch on here, and I also put a bigger motor. This one had a Briggs 6.5 horse golden colored Briggs, and I took the Predator 420 off my other motor that's going on the dualies. So what I did is, this is the old pulley. So it's an 11-inch pulley that was here, and then it had a 10 tooth sprocket. Most of them have a 13 tooth, so I think the 10 tooth is because this is a 62 sprocket. So in most of them, it's a 72 sprocket with a 13 on top. What I did is I put a brand new jack shaft in. I put a 12 tooth instead of a 10 to give me a little speed. Got the clamps on both sides. And I also put a longer tiller handle, so I just took a piece of square tube, bolted it on. Come around this side, and then I cut a notch in the top so it can move up. And of course I cut a notch in the bottom so it can move this way. Usually I would have these coming out to about, I'd have this piece coming out to about here, but since they bent this tiller towards the port side, I had to make this shorter and make the bend in it, heat it up and bend it. Painted it, put on my kill switch, my dead man switch, put on the Swamp Raider mud motor throttle. This is a 1/2-inch black tube with your little threaded in, and I put the cap on. So this was kind of a quick put together because I wasn't planning on doing any work on this, but I think in my earlier videos I told you my plan to put, I guess you call it a long transom. That's not going to work because I cannot adjust that wheel up any higher, and it sits about 4 to 5 inches below the plane of the hull. So today I'm going to take that all apart because I can't lift up the frame and the motor. Probably even with 2 people it would be too hard. So I'm just going to take everything off, take it off the boat. And then today, since I got this all mocked up, I just wanted to mock it up inside. I'm going to take this all apart and put it back together on the boat. But we'll see how this goes. This should be my fastest one. I got this geared, the theoretical speed with the CVT. This is a 7.5-inch driven. with the 12 sprocket and the 60 sprocket. Theoretical speed is 41 miles an hour. See if I can get this thing up to maybe 37. But yeah, I'll send out another video when I get this thing on and running.